My name is Alexander Mack, electrical engineer by degree. Used to play with military airplanes way back when, making sure the bombs drop in all the right places. In the Office of Energy, there was a program that was called Farm to Fuel. And we had a pilot program up in this Suwannee County Conservation District that was called FEWER, which was for doing energy efficient and water savings program as a pilot. And that program was over in June of last year, and we had roughly about $1 million left. And so we approached the Division of Aquaculture to ask them if they thought that the industry would utilize these dollars. And they said yes. And so we, in consultation with the Division of Aquaculture, as well as the grant that's with the lab, we issued a notice of funding availability. And I think a copy of the NOFA is on the table there. But it's $1 million. The floor is $5,000 and the ceiling is $30,000. But there's a 25% match or cost share. You can do energy related things that say water, but there has to be an energy tie. You can do things like pumps, water treatment systems, what have you, and hopefully Craig and Eric can tell you some of the things that they're doing. So far we have received 4 applications. You can do solar and other things. The key is that if you buy into the program, that we ask that you track your energy savings for a year after the measure is installed, so that you can see and we can see what kind of savings are being achieved, so that we can spread the word, if you will, on the measures that were installed, so that other farmers would buy in and utilize it. And I'm going to stop right here and ask if there are any questions so far. Yes, sir.
What level of detail? So I'll give you an example. Say we're looking at upgrading some water chillers and cooling units. So those are very like weather dependent on how often they run. Is providing the data back to you guys, is it just, could it be just as simple as comparing our electrical bill from June to June?
Before you install, and
that's enough? Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Alexander, there was a question earlier. How will these proposals be evaluated? Is it first come, first serve?
First come, first serve.
First serve.
Yes.
So if it looks like it's a reasonable proposal that includes energy savings on an aquaculture facility, you're probably going to approve it.
Yes.
And okay. And the other question, just to clarify, this is a reimbursement program.
Yes.
So the initial cost of any changes, equipment, would be on the producer, on the participant.
Right.
And they will get reimbursed after they've been approved.
Correct.
So they probably shouldn't do anything until they're approved,
That is correct.
if they expect to be reimbursed.
Right, and let me say it this way, because someone asked a question, I think in January at the meeting, they were already doing some work. I said, well, if you can stop now and you have something left, we can help you out. But if you've already, it's not retroactive.
Yeah, that was a $40,000 lighting change.
So,
Yes, sir.
under the category of prioritizing, I get the first come, first serve. Is there any priority beyond that given to projects that have greater impact or save more dollars versus less dollars? Not
It's
a
left
factor?
up to the individual producer on what they want to do on their farm.
Got it. And then, another question, on the energy assessment, I read the response that was posted on the website where a gentleman had asked, somebody had asked a question, and so I understood what it said. It left it pretty open. In other words, you could have an energy assessment, let's say, from a power company previously, if it was a solar install or something, you know.
Right.
Or you could just utilize the numbers necessary to make a comparison or ascertain where your energy is now. Like the gentleman here, for us, it's a little more difficult. We're a hatchery, and what we find is that from year to year and month to month, it varies on the weather pattern. So, you know, last year's electricity usage and or our need to, you know, use a lot of electricity for water heating, cooling, you know, it goes like this. And this year it'll be a little bit, it'll be different. So comparing month to month from year to year for us would be a little more difficult. But is it open to, in other words, we have a way that we can compare.
As long as you present a logical,
Yeah. How we're
we've
looking
had-
at it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the minimum is $5,000.
$5,000.
Is that minus the 25%, or is that just say 5,000 and then, meaning that if we're putting in 25% of it?
We're going to, well, the minimum grant that we will give is $5,000.
Okay.
So you would have to spend $7,500 to get $5,000.
But it could be like $100,000 project and we would still get the 30.
No, 25% of that would be your cost. So if you had a $7,500, no, excuse me,
Well,
no, $250.
6,500.
Yeah, excuse me,
I think.
excuse me, you're right, that's the face that I deserve.
It notes like,
25% of it. Right.
it notes in here as an example for funding categories is contractual services. I don't know about everybody, but I assume a lot of us build and develop a lot of things on our own on our farms, or we use internal labor. Is that acceptable
That's
as match also?
contractual stuff.
Got it.
That's the labor to get it
That's
installed.
same definition.
Yes.
Yeah, I read through the criteria today, and it's extremely liberal. It's basically, they will pay for 75% of an energy improvement on your farm.
And it's I guess I call it a rolling deadline or first come, first serve. So there is no deadline. But the sooner the better, because if money sits there, the legislature will come through and any other, yes, sir.
So, in this, you have project milestones, deliverables, project budget, project task, and you have the different categories. Are those also just examples of how you'd like it? I mean, if we put it in a different format, is that acceptable, or do you really want those in those exact boxes?
That format. If
Okay.
it's contractual and you're using in-house labor, just you're there.
Yeah, just put the number in there.
Yes.
But you're saying definitely use these.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's like the approximate time to get approval on an application?
I can look at it within a day.
Oh, okay. So you're talking like 6 months or something?
Excuse me?
No, it's so days.
Well, I
weeks,
say a
not
day.
months, or-
The application comes in, what I'm gonna do is send them up to aquaculture, say, please certify that, verify that this producer is certified according to the statute. They sign off, I'm gonna do my review, and we go from there.
Okay, so days, weeks, not months and months.
Right. Yes, sir.
And after it gets approved, how long, I mean, is there a time frame in which the funds need to be spent? Because sometimes things need to be ordered and stuff like that. Is there like a 3 month, 6 month, 2 year?
The project has to be installed within a year.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Would it include saving on propane or just electricity?
I'm gonna say energy savings.
So propane is,
So you can reduce the amount of propane you use, guess what? Energy savings.
Our audit included the propane.
diesel?
Energy savings.
It's too easy, man. You gotta.
I mean, reduction in your energy footprint, that's what the program is about. To hopefully increase your bottom line.
So I had another question asked to me, if this is successful, do you foresee that this would be something that might be expanded? Because if you had 30,000 as the cap, that's 33 projects, and there's 1,000 certified aquaculture facilities in the state.
Well,
So
then-
do you anticipate that if this is successful, that it could be something that could be
Well,
funded again?
Let me answer the question this way. We started with a pilot program, the fuel program, for farmers.
Right?
Didn't specify if they were row crop, aquaculture, whoever wanted to could apply, okay? That was a $5 million program, so only $4 million was spent. So here's the other $1 million. Then we applied to USDA for what we call the FRED grant, $4 million, and we had another $2 million to match with that. So the FRED program is also in existence now. It ends in the 1st of September. And then you all remember the BP oil spill. There are some dollars called Restore. We applied for those along with the Office of Ag Water Policy. And so, of course, they're restricted to various river basins. And Restore, there's the Swanee River Basin. It's $1 million in that one. And then the Apalachicola River Basin, there's $1 million in that one. That's phase one. Phase two, we have submitted the application and we have submitted a request. And so we're waiting on them to provide approval for us to submit the full-blown application. So that includes Apalachicola, Swanee, Perdido, St. Mark's, and one other river, five basins. So there is the possibility, and this is a program that the commissioner has really been interested in. Yes, sir.
So if you have several small projects, you would just list them all individually, as long as it doesn't surpass 30,000, as far as like if you want to do
But-
water heaters and,
Right, but it has to be one application.
the one application, correct?
One application.
Okay.
I don't care
One
how,
application
I don't care
for
how
that
many
one.
parts, I don't care how many parts you have,
Okay.
as long as it's not over $30,000.
$30,000 total project or $30,000 that you would reimburse?
30,000 that we will reimburse. Your project can be 100,000, but we're only gonna reimburse up to 30,000.
And I have another, sorry for so many questions. So if you have a building that isn't finished, it's being built, can you put projects for that, or is that considered new construction?
Do you have any energy usage on that building?
We will, but we don't yet.
Just an example based on our project, just confirm the, so our project was to look at how to heat water using solar, passive solar power. So the entire project will be creating that, it's not a pond, but a reservoir. So it'll be all the construction components from there all the way up. So liners, cement, wood, lumber, greenhouse tops, etc. Do you see any issue with that? Is there any construction materials that would, I don't think there are.
I'm gonna answer the question this way because in the NOFA, there's a person called the compliance officer who has the answer, all the questions.
Got it.
And I can't answer on a specific project.
I understand.
But if there's energy savings tied to that project, submit the project.
Gotcha.
Any other questions for Alexander? Thank you, sir.